Jacob has acquired just about all of the cattle that Laban had. But Laban had dealt with him unfairly. Well, I'm saying that to say that if you may have had an employer, it may have even been a family member who should have given you, and you may have taken the wrong course and tried to straighten it out yourself. But if you'd be patient like Jacob was, he waited 21 years and God rewarded him, allowed him to come back to his native land with all that he had acquired. God will do the same in your life. He'll allow you, if you'll be patient, wait on him, wait for the direction he's giving you. The injustices that took place can be all settled out, and God will even the score, and you won't have to sweat it. You won't have to run yourself in the ground in the process of trying to get things right. You'll leave it in God's hands, and everything will turn out to your favor. It'll be a process of time, more than likely, sometimes 21 years. But he was able to meet his brother, and we'll get to our giving point here. When he met some of what he acquired, he had done his brother a great wrong. He had gotten his birthright. His brother gave it to him freely, something that had great value. Just like our lives have great value in God's eyes, and sometimes we may have in our younger years when we didn't have the wisdom, we didn't know better, we couldn't do any better. We may have traded off that precious gift God gave us for trinkets or something of no real value. He was called the first one I could read in all of Scripture, the one that God hated. God loved Jacob, but he hated Esau. He loved Jacob because on him and he followed the direction God gave him. Esau didn't take this course. He took it and put it in his own hand and said, even though this birthright has great value, I'm trading it off for a lowly pot of beans. That's all he got out of it. The children's mother knew in advance who was going to get the birthright, and she tried to handle things herself. When we handle things ourselves, we get things all twisted and out of the favor of God's hands. If we'll leave it to decide, make the decisions, and don't try to weigh it all upon ourselves, we'll come out of it better, and we'll have more, and we'll have peace. To bet that in the process of time, he lost a good portion of his life trying to do things the way he wanted to do them, but he lost favor with God. He lost favor with his parents because he married foreign women that he shouldn't have been involved with. He just led a life that didn't measure up the way it should have been. So I'm going to end that story on that part. But there is the giving part where he gave to his brother that large portion. He gave him a very nice portion. And they had to divide and they made peace. This is the one thing he feared. He wrestled with an angel all night. Who would wrestle with an angel all night? If you're in that state of fear, you probably would. He was afraid. His brother was coming at him with 400 armed men. That's an army. And he knew he had done him wrong. So the guilt must have ate him up that night. He said, I'm not letting this angel go until they bless me. So he was blessed in the process and things worked out for him. God said, I loved him, but his brother who sold his birthright for practically nothing, God says, I hate him. So God has the ability, he had the character to hate, just like we have that character within us. We can hate. We should hate injustices and evils and things that are done wrong against people. We should hate that with a godly righteousness. We should hate it. But just to hate somebody out of the mere purpose of hating them, we shouldn't do that. Now, I'm going to jump from there, and then I'm going to go back to Cain and Abel. Those two made sacrifices also. They presented offerings. Nowhere did I read where Esau gave any type of offering. I can't find that. It may be in there, but I haven't ran across it. But Cain and Abel, they did make sacrifices. They probably learned from their parents that this is how we were covered when we failed in the garden. This had to be on their mind. Here you are in paradise, and now you're struggling. This was something that constantly stayed on Adam's mind, I believe, for the 930 years that he existed. So he must have told his children, this is what happened to us. It wasn't always like this. We were in the garden of God, the Garden of Eden. We could have ate from the tree of life, but we chose to do otherwise. And This is the state we're in. That's why when I pinch you, you really feel it. But these two made offerings. One gave God what God had asked for. Just like this morning, God is asking us for an offering. He said, I want you to give me this portion. We know exactly what the portion is because he laid it on our heart. We can read it in his word, and then we know what he lays on our heart before we come to the house of worship. When people in the old times used to come to the house of worship, they made it their business to meet with someone to get the right item that they had to bring in to make the sacrifice. Even though they were being scammed,